Hi, this is Billie Beene here with Truth by Billie Beene, an update today. Some of my sources are God in the Bible, Patriot subscriber, an interesting interview on BeForeIt'sNEWS by Patriot Underground with Dr. Jim Willie, 107 Zero Hedge, Sky News, Dr. William Mount, Officer Tatum, plus some of the things we'll cover. President Trump, witches try, but God shields. The U.S. government and the military clean up on aisle 3. And what's going on with FEMA, Israel, Ukraine? So let's get started. I have a Patriot subscriber. We love our new senator in Ohio, Bernie Moreno. I have a Patriot subscriber. Talking about what do we see, with our own lying eyes, when we see a guy come out of President Trump's plane clearly carrying the nuclear football, the satchel that the President of the United States would, put his nuclear biscuit into to launch nukes. And this Patriot subscriber, who's awake? Yeah, I have a Patriot subscriber talking about the Loy Brunson case. That's the one before the Supreme Court that would clearly establish that 2020 was stolen. So this Patriot subscriber talks about the Brunson case. When it comes out, it will be a takedown of many in Congress and JB and his cabinet. I have a Patriot subscriber, New York, talking about Lee Zeldin. Okay, this Patriot subscriber worked for Lee Zeldin and when he was in Congress representing New York. She was involved, I'm assuming, in the Republican Party, and she would drive him to rallies in New York, and she said she had the opportunity to witness to him many times. She says he's a good guy, and he likes, for lunch, matzo soup. So that's good. We see a testimony that President Trump is picking good people. I have a Patriot subscriber. This is in Kansas. I received, and also my daughter received, who hasn't lived at home for years. We both received voter ballots, and we had not requested them. So that's going on. And I have this. So we're going to talk about a potential Sarah hurricane still being potentially juiced up by the deep state. Now, we saw the White Hats, take out Rafael that simply dissipated in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. Now we have this. It's not a named storm yet. It's currently a tropical depression slated to become a tropical storm, still located south of Yucatan, predicted to move over Yucatan and into the Gulf of Mexico in a few days. So we have this tropical depression number 19. That's what it currently is. 35 miles per hour, barometric 1004, moving forward at 14 miles per hour. Now notice it's really picked up speed from yesterday. And we believe that it's going to be in the Gulf of Mexico by about Monday. Now some models are still predicting it's going to increase and become a hurricane. Many of the models are carrying it to Florida and to this area. So we need to pray against that. Space weather. quiet, 20% chance for exflare today. But we do have cracks that have developed in Earth's electromagnetic shield, letting in solar wind and radiation that could produce a geomagnetic storm and auroras in the Arctic. So that's going on. And now from Zero Hedge, President Trump, yes, is going to purge the military. Now, we had, in like 2008, we had Obama. And what Obama did during his 2 terms, he was deep state. Part of his assignment was to destroy the U.S. military. He wanted to take the entire U.S. military away from swearing allegiance to the Constitution and to swear allegiance to him. That did not work. He could bring over some deep state military players, and they're still currently in high-level positions. President Trump will begin a purge of the military at these isolated high-level positions. Now, Obama then, the deep state did capture certain high-level positions with the U.S. military. So he went to an alternative standing army that he could get to defend him and go against the American people by setting up tens of thousands of individuals armed with FEMA and the IRS. We know the IRS is about 87,000. FEMA, I don't have a number on that, but I would estimate it's tens of thousands of FEMA employees whose job is to control the American people through means of weapons. So that's going on. So now, Zero Hedge. President Trump will purge the military, and he's going to establish a warrior board made up of retired senior military generals and NGOs that President Trump will appoint, made up of retired 3- to 4-star generals. And their job will be to identify for removal within the first 30 days of President Trump being inaugurated. So that would be 10 days in January and 20 to 30 days in February. And these individuals that are selected to be removed from the military will retire at their current rank. Now, if they refuse, they can lose their retirement benefits. So we see that going on. And we have this. ABC News talking about Tulsi Gabbard. Now, Tulsi has an undergraduate and a master's that was in Hawaii. Then she immediately after college became a House of Representatives for Hawaii as a Democrat. Hawaii is primarily a Democrat if you want to work in politics. And I believe her father worked in politics at the state level. But concurrent with her time in the House, she was also in the Hawaii National Guard. She rose after 16 years to the rank of lieutenant colonel. She did have 2 combat deployments to Iraq and Kuwait, where she worked as a medic. So she's familiar up close and personal what is war. And she's being named as the Director of National Intel. She will supervise U.S. intel agencies like FBI, CIA, NSA. So that's going on. And we have Matt Gaetz, Republican, Florida, currently in the House, named as the Attorney General. So he attended William and Mary Law School. Now, it's believed he's a firebrand, and we say bring it, because there are a lot of deep state criminals in our government. We have this. Underground Patriot recently interviewed Dr. Jim Willie, PhD economist from Costa Rica. And during the election, November 5, or before that time period also, the President Trump's team, the White Hats, were able to intercept 12 truckloads of fake ballots. Now, it's coming out that you would see at post offices, you would see trucks drive up and drop off crates of ballots. But President Trump's team had done a good job of interfacing with the post office and their employees. And so the post office employees were afraid of being charged criminally for election fraud. So the trucks would drive up with the fake ballots, and pretty soon you'd see a private garbage truck there also to grind them up and get rid of them. So we had that going on. And now we have KH, the Dems, raised $1 billion for KH's campaign, but when they finish, they owe $20 million. So doesn't it sound like the Dems, no matter how much money they have, they can't handle money? And we have this. It's being predicted by President Trump's team. It may take up to 2 years to take down the deep state. In some areas, like Big Pharma, Big Tech, there are many layers to this. Military contractors, NATO individuals, narco and trafficking trade. Yeah. And we have this. President Trump will clean out the FBI, the NSA, the CIA. Yeah. And we say bring it. And it's believed by the U.S. military's vote count of the November 2024 vote that President Trump actually received 80% and KH 20%. Yeah. We see, lie after lie being put out. Now, also from Jim Willie, he's still hearing. I like following Jim. He's certainly, he has a PhD in statistics, but he's very accurate on U.S. and global economic matters. But he has a lot of contacts worldwide, and so he picks up a lot of good information. One thing is, in North Carolina, there continue to be firefights, and the Northern Militia, that would be an American citizen militia, has joined with another American citizen militia, the Red Hats. And they are currently fighting FEMA, and the casualties are 5-1. 5 FEMA against one of the citizen militias. So that correlates with my information I gave at the beginning about Obama arming FEMA. And this information is coming out that in North Carolina, American citizens are still engaging in firefights against FEMA. And now we have this. What's going on in the Middle East? We have, as soon as President Trump was elected, we have Saudi Arabia immediately, within 24 hours, seeking peace. And what happened in Qatar? Now, in Qatar, that's across the Persian Gulf from Iran. We have one of our largest Middle East U.S. military bases. I don't know, 10 to 15,000 U.S. military troops. Now, Qatar had been the Middle East government that had been protecting the leaders of Hamas. And within 24 hours of President Trump being elected, Qatar government kicked Hamas out of Qatar. So we see a dissolving of Middle East pieces on the chessboard being moved and taken away from support by of the deep state. Qatar, was operating through directives from the deep state controlled U.S. government, JB, and so on, and his handlers. Once JB was out of power, President Trump in Qatar kicked Hamas out. So we see already moves globally toward world peace. So yeah, that's going on. Oh, and we understand for sale is CNN and MSNBC. Having lost all credibility with the American people, their viewership went from millions down to less than 1 million, not making money. Now we have this from Dave XRPDAVE-LION. He does I don't believe he may be on YouTube. His site is about crypto. But he's talking about the Supreme Court SCOTUS and the Loy Brunson decision, and says that the Supreme Court has decided on the Loy Brunson decision that had to do with voter fraud in the 2020 election. So 2020 Loy Brunson case has been decided, according to Dave XRP, by SCOTUS, the Supreme Court, and puts forth that the 2020 election was corrupt. It did not support putting JB in power, and that actually in 2020 President Trump won. And the U.S., Dave XRP puts this forth. Loy Brunson is under a NDA, non-disclosure. The U.S. military is aware of the Supreme Court decision. They have not yet released this to the public, but I submit, once you submit it to one large platform, it's going viral. And we have this. And the bottom line is President Trump is actually president now. So that's going on. And now we have this. What's been going on in Michigan with FEMA? And we have Canada. We have Michigan. We have Lake Huron, and we have a small spit of land in Lake Huron. We have this abandoned U.S. military airfield where it's being reported that FEMA set up 350 tractor trailers plus. Okay, we have more information. Now, Dr. William Mount put out that he looked at it on Google, and he didn't see evidence of the tractor trailers there. MonkeyWorks put out that it did not appear that FEMA had set up in Oscoda, Michigan. Some people are calling it Osceola. And that a member of the Oscoda Town Council had simply reported in a town meeting that FEMA had selected this site to set up 350 tractor trailers. But, so, I mean, sources are saying this hasn't happened yet. Now, I would like to bring out this information. It's just my perception. I give the credit to God. About those FEMA setups, we saw that same setup in North Carolina, where we see tractor trailers lined up this way, and we see additional just regular vans, trucks parked something like this. I submit the way that FEMA is parking these vehicles, could this be some kind of code that can be seen by satellites in the sky? It sure looks that way, doesn't it? Because this formation was put out in pictures regarding Oscoda, Michigan, and it's the same setup that we saw in North Carolina. So I'm submitting something's there. Now, from real estate mindset, what's going on still in North Carolina? So we're seeing this. South Carolina, North Carolina, also affected Tennessee, Virginia. And I put it out that the Department of Defense and BlackRock had in place a contract to mine lithium in North Carolina in this area. So we already can identify who is it with the Department of Defense that signed this contract with BlackRock. Yeah, that's going on. But this is coming out that decades ago, BlackRock had been mining there, and apparently it could be questioned, what exactly was BlackRock doing in North Carolina? Was it mining lithium, or was it producing nukes? Because now what's coming up is radioactive material. An example is a team of cadaver dogs have all passed away. Many people are sick. One lady had her water restored and she wanted to take a shower. She turned the water on and immediately received chemical burns on her body. It's now believed the death count in North Carolina is at least 10,000. It is being reported that the evil and corrupt CPS is now trying to take children away from their parents. And this is going on, that FEMA appears to be engaged in a land grab. Now, what I'm getting, my perception, is that FEMA, we know they stage before a disaster and then go into the hurricane or flood area. My perception is FEMA sets up before disasters, and it is not to go in to provide medicine, water, food to American citizens. Instead, I believe FEMA's job is to go in and identify which properties they can immediately take over or even outright steal. FEMA is not our friend. And now we have this. President Trump has named John Ratcliffe as the head of the CIA, the head of government efficiency. Shrinking the federal government is Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. So we see moves in the right direction. And now we have this. Yeah, So another report about the failure of FEMA in North Carolina. This is on 3 Truth Disaster site, YouTube. 7 cadavers were located by instruments, searchers, under debris, but the local citizens didn't have the equipment necessary to remove the debris to get to the 7 cadavers. So the local citizens notified FEMA. The next day, the local citizens see that debris pile on fire. So we see FEMA. Oh, 7 cadavers there? We'll just burn it to the ground. We're not going to spend money to actually extract the dead. Yeah, FEMA. So now we have this. We have, this came from Doug Hagman's site about Candace Owens and others putting out new information regarding Big Pharma, and strong pushback will be in place by RFK Jr. against Big Pharma, FDA, CDC, and also against the Department of Defense, FBI, CIA, State Department. Strong pushback by President Trump and his team. Now, we're hearing to head up President Trump's State Department, Florida Republican Marco Rubio, but another name has come out for the State Department, or possibly someone to be associated with the State Department, and that is Richard Grenell. And yeah. And for the CIA, a second name, John Ratcliffe. So that's going on. We love all these positive moves. We the people for too long had seen evil and corruption in our government. Now this comes out from an interview Ron Partain with Mike King. President Trump is in control of the U.S. military and also in control of much media, including Elon Musk and Twitter, or X. So yeah, in order to put forth your agenda, you do need to have a way to communicate with most of your population. So we have this information coming out from 107. It's up to all American citizens to face down the deep state. That's right. President Trump is symbolically a leader for us. But we need to pray and support him and what's going on. We are currently still engaged in a battleground. And President Trump is putting forth his Operation Warp Speed Transition Team. Now, his transition team is going on at Mar-a-Lago, a property President Trump owns in Florida. Now, in the past, administrations have come under or cooperated with the U.S. government, giving the candidate millions of dollars to put together their transition team, and also the U.S. government transition party would also give suggestions for individuals to fill the candidate's cabinet. President Trump spurned that offer from the U.S. government, spurned the millions of dollars, spurned the suggestions from this U.S. government internal group President Trump is putting together. his own cabinet at his own expense. So that's going on. Yeah, and it's being put forth from multiple sources. The deep state is not going to give up so easy. They're going to want to stop the inauguration. And, you know, we do have, I think Dr. William Alt said, President Trump, yeah, several more assassination attempts, possibly an attempt to poison him at a Christmas Eve party. So things are coming out, and that's going on. And we have this. This was just a joke. Recommending Alex Jones, InfoWars, as President Trump's press secretary. Yeah, that's going on. And now we have this from Breitbart. Okay, President Trump, Secretary of Defense, this was a surprise to me, Pete Hegseth. So, Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense. Pete Hegseth, who has been on Fox News as a commentator. But prior to that, he's a graduate of Princeton and Harvard. He's also active, had served in the U.S. military, Army, also in combat situations, Iraq, Afghanistan, and in the Minnesota National Guard. President Trump is also named as his White House counsel as attorney, William McGinley. So, Pete Hegseth is being named as the Secretary of Defense, and one of the reasons that President Trump said he selected Pete was because Pete's written a book, but he also has been active. I think Pete also served in Congress, and he was active on veteran benefits, supporting vets. So that's going on. And now we have from Epic Economist, what's going on in the U.S. economy? We see Walmart, Home Depot, Dollar General canceling billions of dollars of orders. And this just before the holiday season. Now we saw something similar to this happening before we had a downturn in the economy. Just a few years ago. So when you see major retailers canceling Christmas and Thanksgiving orders, that's a sign that something's going on with the economy. From Officer Tatum, and I believe Dr. William Mount also came out with this. So it's tradition for the in place First Lady, that would be Jill Biden, to invite the new First Lady coming in to a tea, I'm assuming to share some experiences, do's and don'ts of the First Lady. So Jill Biden invited Melania Trump. Melania declined. Because isn't Jill Biden associated with JB, a deep state group that put in place several assassination attempts on Melania Trump's husband? Yes. So Melania said, no thanks. But Melania has already had the experience of being a First Lady. She didn't need to have tea with a potential backstabber. Okay, now we have this from New York Prepper, talking about that Oscoda, Michigan location, that it's being denied that the 350 tractor trailers are there. There was information that came out from the Oscoda Town Council Supervisor Bill Palmer stating that FEMA had selected this location. So I submit possibly there was some reason to put that information out to the public. We did have pictures of the tractor trailers and other vehicles located in Oscoda. And as I put forth, this looks like some kind of code to me for the positioning of the vehicles. From Breitbart, we have, okay, now we see a continuation of the deep state to destroy the economy of the U.S. and the U.S. military. So we have the Middle East, and we have India. We have right here a important island that's important to the defense of the United States of America, Diego Garcia. And we see the deep state-controlled JB group trying now to give Diego Garcia to the UK. No, they're going to give it to Mauritius. Okay. So we have Africa, we have Mauritius right here, Mauritius, which is technically a French colony. So we see the deep state via JB still trying to sabotage America and the U.S. military. But President Trump's administration objects strongly, and I don't see the U.S. military allowing that. Oh, and we do see the deep state JB group continuing to want to destroy America. So, JB had taken the strategic oil reserve in the U.S. You know, this is oil and fuel the U.S. Keeps stored in the event that we have some type of disaster or the U.S. military needs it. All nations do this. But over the period of 2021 to now, the JB group had sold most of it to China. Now, in this last month, November, December, the JB Deep State Group is putting forth to buy $200 million worth of oil to put in the strategic reserve, but the U.S. government will pay for it before it's actually put into the strategic oil reserve. It will be sold with the money going into the pocket of JB and the deep state. So President Trump will come in with virtually an empty strategic oil reserve. And now we have this. Again, a positive sign of what's going on in the Middle East. I talked about Qatar, Saudi Arabia. This is Turkey. Turkey is located above on a map. Lebanon, Israel, Lebanon, Turkey. Turkey cuts ties with Israel. It's a major diplomatic shift. And Turkey's president, President Erdogan, announced on November 12, Turkey is cutting diplomatic ties with Israel, and Turkey condemns the genocide in Gaza, and I submit Israel is engaging in a second genocide, and that would be in Lebanon. And we can see this with our own lying eyes. Yes, there is a paramilitary group, Hezbollah, in Lebanon that puts rockets into Israel. Israel primarily is not attacking the paramilitary group, but rather civilians in Beirut. And Benjamin Netanyahu had threatened Lebanon. You know, mess with us, we'll turn Lebanon into Gaza. Genocide. And that is what we see going on. And now we have this. All right. So Iran possibly is getting ready to attack Israel. Iran put a NOTAM, a no-fly area, stating that rockets would be launched November 18, 19, 20. And it's believed that next Monday, next Sunday in our time frame, this could happen. And Iran gave warning to Israel, Haifa and Tel Aviv, to the citizens there. So this happened the weekend of November 9 to 10, last weekend. Iran gave warning to the Israeli citizens living in Haifa and Tel Aviv to evacuate, that they had 1 week to evacuate. And so that would line up with this weekend and this NOTAM as potential for Iran to attack Israel. And Iran's threat also said they would remove Israel from the map. And we have this. It's believed that Russia and China will also back up Iran, and then the U.S. will defend Israel. So look for something to go hot this weekend in the Middle East. And we have this. Okay, Russia, so we have this going on with Iran and Israel, possibly coming up this weekend. We have Russia doing something in Cuba. So we have Cuba down here, 90 miles off the coast of Florida. Hal Turner reports this on November 12. We have Russia setting up in Cuba, and the top Russian government official, we would call him an emergency management official. The top Russian emergency management official went to Cuba, and he went there November 12. And this November 12 correlates to this time frame. Iran is warning Israel. And the emergency management Russian official went to Cuba to set up, to prep, to treat wounded Russian soldiers, possibly occurring on the U.S. East Coast and the U.S. Gulf Coast. So that's going on. And now we have this. So we have a death count coming out about what's going on in Ukraine from August to November. 220,000 plus dead on the front line in Ukraine. And the number comes from the Russian government, because it is the Russian government, the Russian military, who picks up the dead bodies from the front line, and so they count them. You didn't think Zelensky's military would actually be concerned about dead Ukrainian military, do you? I mean, this is the same guy who confiscated the Orthodox Christian Church money, property, artifacts, and then changed their religious observations. He barely stopped short of declaring himself to be God. So we see a godless individual, Zelensky, could care less about what happens to dead Ukrainian soldiers. So that's going on. Now we have this from Maria Zakharova, a spokesperson for the Russian Foreign Ministry. And Russia says this to NATO. Okay, so now we have another move by a deep state player, NATO in Germany. And they're saying they're going to send to Ukraine German Taurus missiles for Ukraine to use to strike deep inside Russia. Now, these Taurus missiles are the only strategic large missiles that can be fired that don't require input from satellites in the sky. They have a built-in guidance system. So Russia is responding because Germany said, we're going to send Taurus missiles to Ukraine. Ukraine can use them to launch deep and attack Moscow. So now Russia is responding. If NATO, Germany does this, then it will be an entry into the direct conflict against Russia by NATO and Germany. So that's going on. And now Sky News reports, I guess Sky News is getting reports from witches in the U.S. and around the world who are trying to cast spells against President Trump, the U.S. government, the U.S. military, but it's not working. It's like President Trump and America have a shield. Yeah, that would be God. And we have this. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, goes to Mar-a-Lago this weekend to work with President Trump. What does he want the House to be working on and getting passed? And I will say this. This week, a bill was put forth and approved by the House to go to the Senate that would increase Social Security payments, so SSN money. This is for individuals who have been docked and their Social Security benefits because they had a pension. I know I experienced that. If you were if you paid into any kind of pension plan, then what Social Security was doing, however much you were supposed to get from Social Security, they would deduct the amount of your pension, virtually stealing money from American citizens. So the bill that's passed the House and going to the Senate would remove this and increase American citizens' Social Security to its full amount. So that's going on. And now we have this coming out. While the Speaker of the House, it's Mike Johnson, it's an observation, has a stick, President Trump has a howitzer. And we say, bring it, President Trump. The American people stand shoulder to shoulder with you. And now a short prayer. Once again and forever, I began using this prayer in September of 2023. May the skies of America be once again and forever clear and blue. May the land of America be once again and forever golden with grain and with gold. May the waters of America be once again and forever clear and vibrant with life. May the pilgrims of America once again and forever enjoy and prosper in a nation of truth and justice. May the Ecclesia of America once again and forever guide in all areas, including government, military, and education. May God once again and forever reign, guide, and prosper America, land of the free and home of the brave. And we say thank you, God the Father, God the Son, Jesus, whom many call Yeshua, and God the Holy Spirit. I say to my family and friends, remain steady, continue to pray, and maintain that shield over President Trump and America. God is in charge, and He is on the move. I love you, and I'll see you soon.